My name is Cassie Moon. I live in South Portland, and my husband is also a healthcare worker on the front line. And so when COVID hit, I decided that I can put my sewing machine to good use. And I have lots of fabric, way too much fabric. So I did not accept money for this. I just made masks. And as people requested, word got out that I made masks. Like I think we did 300 for the immigrant community. And I made children masks, which are really little. And most people with children said they like these masks best because the kids will keep them on. And so I made them with Christmas theme or winter theme. I made Halloween masks. I have a lending library out front of my home, and I put masks in there that are free for any kid in the neighborhood that wants a mask. And NASA delivered some to a hospital for me. It's the one thing, if I would watch the news and felt really bad, I would go to my husband and say, I'm going downstairs and make masks, because that made me feel better.
Hi, my name is Roseanne, and I was looking for, I guess, some way that I could sort of encapsulate my whole feelings that I've had during this time of the pandemic. And one of the things that I saw was an article that was about a fellow who was a laboratory technician in a hospital in New York City, and how he was dealing with his own feelings and so on. He's an artist, and he does his things, expresses mostly with collage. And he started doing collages with some of the biohazard tapes and other materials that were available at his workplace. And then I had an opportunity to listen to something that he presented in conjunction with another program where people would make their own collages to be able to express what their feelings were about all of this. So I decided that I would do that. We had to take a 2020 calendar. That's all you could use as materials for making your collage. And I used a wildlife calendar, and the cover of the calendar and one of the month's large photos was a picture of a bear who was pouncing into the water. And then there was a little picture of a bear that was asleep, because this was really how I kind of felt about this, is that this was always in the background there, and then all of a sudden it woke up and Corona pounced. And then from the time of the pouncing, I took and tried to identify what my biggest emotional response was. And I have to say that I have not personally suffered from this. I don't know anyone who has been sick, but the thing that I did notice for me personally was I seem to have lost, for the last 10 or 12 months almost, any conception of time. When things happened, everything just sort of runs in together, and you'll see that in the collage that I did. The months are all sort of random. The days are upside down. I wrote down on one side of it, and up in the corner, a list of significant dates for me during the pandemic. And one of them was March 13th, which was when we had the lockdown. Some other days were the last time I went swimming at the YMCA. But I think it gives me just for myself, something that I can look back on and be reminded of the feelings that I had, and how precious time is, to use it productively and meaningfully and so on. And I know that this project helped me to bring my thoughts together, and it's an idea that other people might want to try as well.
In preparing for a monthly edition of the West End News, I was communicating with one of my volunteer contributors, and at that point especially, what seemed to be a lack of recognition, like public recognition of what was happening. I think it's difficult when you're not able to gather physically to have a memorial event. And so the idea popped up of doing a temporary memorial with no service, but just an opportunity for people to be able to reflect. And ultimately, we were able to hold an event for a couple of days on Thanksgiving weekend at Longfellow Square in downtown Portland. And we placed flags and cards with death dates. It was 200 deaths around that time. And we're just talking here in our own home, our neighbors. It's a tremendous loss, and it's so much more already, just a little over a month out from when we had the memorial. But I'm glad that I was able to, in my own way, be a part of a remembrance and it meant a lot to me personally.
In the fall, with everything that was going on politically and with COVID, and sort of looking towards the winter and shorter days, I knew for myself that I needed to come up with a strategy, because I generally have some sort of winter blues already, and this year seemed harder. So I started to think about how I could maximize light, which seems important to me, and also time in nature. And a friend of mine posted on Facebook about seeing more sunrises this year than we've ever seen before. And I think was sort of thinking along these same lines. And so I thought to myself, okay, I'm not an early morning person, but I need to start being one. I need to start getting outside and maximizing light. And I also invited people to join me if they wanted to. And this seemed to resonate with people a lot, that, like, I guess just making a choice to do something differently in this time, and also that being outside is a safe way to be together, and spending time in nature is rejuvenating. I decided to start a Facebook group called Soul Sunrise Maine, and just post a location where we could meet together on Saturdays. And people started coming to view sunrise with me. And it was really just a beautiful way to start the day in community and together with friends, and to have people making new connections of their own. And people would thank me. And I didn't feel like I was doing anything, or I was just like, no, you're helping me continue my practice and helping my day be better as well. And I've re-engaged with the beauty of Maine, and like locations that I either had been to but I hadn't been to for a while, or locations that I didn't know about that I've discovered. So it's been kind of a group sourcing of like, hey, where should we go, and what places that other people know. So it's been really fulfilling for me.
My name is Sydney Patton. I live in Falmouth. I'm a musician. I'm sitting at my piano. When the pandemic struck, yes, I was shocked and saddened, but I guess I'm an optimist, and by nature. And I thought that this period of time that we're all going through, the entire world, is an opportunity to slow down, to be more considerate, to be more interior, We are forced to be inside in a way. In our homes, we're always so busy running around. And I find this a wonderful opportunity for growth, for change, and evolution. So I started opening my window during the spring and summer months so people could hear the music as they walk by my house. And people would stop and they would pause sometimes, or they would clap. And that gave me the idea to put a few chairs out and let people come through the gate and sit down. I did several concerts for people who would come over. They would sit down, they'd bring whatever they wanted to eat or drink, and enjoy the music outside. I'm going to play you a piece I wrote about swimming underwater up on Mount Desert Island. And you'll hear in the beginning my trepidation at jumping in the freezing cold water. And then bit by bit, I become accustomed to it, and not only accustomed to it, but brought into this new dimension of, I can't even, there's not even a word for it. I just absolutely love it. The cold water makes every fiber in your body become alive. And then going underwater, I'll see the shafts of light coming down, and it's just so incredibly beautiful. So let me play you that piece. It's called Underwater.
The pandemic gave me a real opportunity to connect with people in a different way. I really miss not seeing people's faces and interacting with them. But I did find that I could, teaching them or working with them with art. And I got connected with some of my friends and who I hadn't seen that often. And every week now I get together with a couple of them one at a time, and I do artwork, and we just talk, and we can just be together. Sometimes we're not even talking, but we're doing different projects together. And I've done the same thing with my grandkids. I'm getting much closer to them during the pandemic because I have this special time when I'm just working with them, and we're doing artwork, and we're telling stories, and we're talking about what we're doing and what we're thinking. And it has been just an incredible silver lining for me to be connecting with people this way, in a way that I hadn't done before. And I'm loving doing like the group classes for me. I never sort of thought of myself as a teacher, but I'm loving bringing this into my life and sharing some things that I'm learning. I'm learning like some new skills, and I'm sharing those, and I'm finding it just very satisfying.